Okay, everybody else has the thing from Thursday? And then, like I said, I'm gonna hand out this sheet to you guys. And all we are going over is this part right here. And then the part that's up here fit better on the bottom of the second page, so that's where that is. What we do tomorrow, there's a lot of notes for that because it's more complicated than what we're doing in this section.
I was just getting my schedule changed. Thank you.
Okay.
Did you guys have a nice break?
I want to
Could be
stay.
better if it was longer.
What was that?
Could have been better if it was longer.
Take it back.
Longer.
And you're not from England, done that e-learning.
Shut the hell up.
What do you mean by that?
I don't get why
You look at it.
English has a slow day.
No different than Mario.
Alright, so
Oh,
that
yeah. Done the e-learning day, 'cause it was
that
over-
is
it was
your
in the middle of
cheat
it.
sheet,
Right.
guys.
It's Mario League.
Okay,
It's Mario League.
so,
legal.
so the last thing or what I was talking about on Thursday, there was two different types of problems. One is any time that you have, quiet please, two sides and the angle in between, you can find the area of that by going 1/2 or 0.5 times the two sides multiplied, so 6 times 3, and then it's times the sine of the angle, so sine of 25. So, and like I know we went over this already on Thursday, but I just wanna go over it for people that were gone. So 0.5 times 6 times 3, sine 25, and we get 3.80. And this is area, so it's in centimeters squared, okay? Now, sometimes they won't just give you the two sides and the included angle, they'll give you more, like in this problem right here. And what you would have to realize here is you always use two sides and the angle in between the two sides. So these two angles here, the 96 and the 48, are there to confuse you. So you would just go area equals 0.5, multiply both sides, and then it's always times sine of the angle in between, which is 36, and that would be your answer, okay? If they just gave you three things, that means you would just go 1/2 times the two sides multiplied times sine of that angle. So this would be area equals 0.5 times 10 times 15 times sine of your angle, okay? Alright, so now we're gonna get into how we do law of sines, and I'm gonna do the last page, and so those of you that were here on Thursday, we have not done this yet, so you can do that with us, okay? So, when you get a problem like this, and it asks you to solve it, you need to find three things. The first thing I would do here is I would draw out my triangle, and it's ABC is what it would be. Now, one of the things you'd have to know for this is, and this I talked about on Thursday, if this is angle A, this is little a. If that's angle B, this is little b, and if this is angle C, that's little c. And then they tell us that angle B is 38 and angle A is 56. Now, one of the things we talked about on Thursday is that law of sines works if ever you're given an angle, side angle problem. So this is different than finding the area like what I just did. Or it works if you're given two angles in a row and then a side, Okay, this one's called angle side. Kind of what you did when you learned congruent triangles. Okay, when you do these problems, what I do first is up here somewhere, I'm gonna write what I need to find. So I need to find the measure of angle C, I need to find little b, and I need to find little c. The order I put those in don't matter, it's just you have to find those three. Now, another thing that I talked about on Thursday is these triangles do not have a right angle. So what that means is you can't do sine, cosine, and tangent like we could on the last quiz. Those don't work if you don't have a right angle. The second thing we talked about is when you don't have a right angle, you can't use a squared plus b squared equals c squared, it won't work. So what we have to do then is do law of sines and law of cosines, okay? Which in this section here, we only know law of sines. Now, do you guys know how we could find angle C right away if you know two angles? Do you know how to do that?
You add them and minus them from 180.
Very good. So you could just put this in your calculator, 56 plus 38 is 94. And then I'd go 180 minus 94, which is 86. And that is the measure of angle C. And then you want to come back here and put that in your triangle, okay? Now, one of the last things I talked about on Thursday is when you're doing law of sines, you need to know an angle, which I know, and its opposite side. And I know A and little a, and what law of sines is you take the sine of an angle over its opposite side, which would be A. And I use those because I know both of them. And then for the other two sides, I would choose which one I want to find first. I'm gonna just do B first, so that would equal sine of B over little b. So you always have a proportion like that, okay? Now I'm gonna substitute in what I know. Sine of A would be sine 56, little a is 12. Sine of B is gonna be sine 38, and little b is what we're looking for, okay? Then I'm gonna do cross products. So I'm gonna multiply this and get sine 56b equals 12 sine 38, okay? Now, I'm looking for little b, and that little b right now is multiplied by sine of 56. What's the opposite of multiply?
Divide.
Divide. So I'm gonna divide by sine of 56 on both sides. And we talked on Thursday that the important thing is
8.911.
when you put this into your calculator, you have to make sure to hit enter after you do the top, okay? So let's check if Dawson's right, which I'm sure he is. We're gonna do 12 sine 38, and you have to hit enter, and then you're gonna divide by sine 56, and Dawson's correct, 8.91. Okay, so I can go back up here and put that right here. If I wanted to, bless you, I could put it into the triangle, but I don't have to for this. Now, when I go to do the second thing, I have to find little c. I'm going to do this exactly how I did this. I'm gonna use sine of A and little a, but I'm looking for c now, so this is gonna say sine of c over little c. So let's try that. I'm gonna go sine of A over little a, just like I did here, but this time I'm looking for little c, so it's gonna be sine of c over little c. Okay, then I'm gonna substitute in what I know. Angle A is 56, little a is 12, sine of c is sine 86, little c is what we're looking for.
And the answer is 1443.
Thank you. So now what we're gonna do again is cross products. So we're gonna go sine 56c equals 12 sine of 86. This is sine 56 times c, so we're gonna divide by sine 56. And what you have to be careful of is you have to remember to hit enter here before you divide by sine of 56. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go 12 sine 86, enter, divided by sine 56. And we would get 14.44. Is that what you got, Wilson?
Yes.
Okay. And then we're done with that problem. Okay? So that was 14.44. And again, on your quiz, this would be your answer, would be worth 6 points. Your next quiz that you guys are gonna take is just gonna be on what we did on Thursday, today, and then what we do in 8-7, which we spend 3 days on, okay? So it's just gonna be those 5 days that you take a quiz on. It won't be on what you just took a quiz on. All right, one more, and then we'll be done. So if I look at this one, I have a triangle ABC. They tell me angle B is 42, angle C is 65, and little a, which is across from angle A, is 5. This is B, so this is little b, this is C, so that's little c. So what I have to do over here is I have to find the measure of angle A, and I need little b and little c, okay? In this one, to get started, for law of sines, you have to know an angle and its opposite side, so I have to find angle A. So I would add these two together and subtract from 180 to find that. So I'm gonna go 42 plus 65, which is 107, and then I'm gonna take 180 minus 107, which is 73, and that goes right here. Okay, now, when I go to do this, I have to use an angle and its opposite side. I can't do it if I don't have that. So this one again, I just so happens I have angle A and little a, but it won't always be that way. You could know B and little b. And then as far as finding little c or little b, it does not matter what order you go in. So let's just go alphabetically and go sine of b over little b.
Both the answers for B and C are 3.498 and 4.738.
Okay, sine of A is sine of 73, little a is 5, sine of B is sine 42, and little b is b. And then we're gonna do cross products. We're gonna multiply this. We get sine 73b equals 5 times sine of 42. That's sine of 73 times b, so we're gonna divide by sine of 73. And then what we do is hit enter here. So what I'm gonna do when I multiply this in, is I'm gonna type in 5 sine 42, enter, divided by sine 73. And do you guys get 3.498? The 49 would go up to 50. If you put 3.49, I'm not gonna mark that wrong, but 3.498 would go up to 50, so it would be 3.5 or 3.50. Then if I go up here, that would go right here. We also found angle A to be 73. And now we're just gonna do the last part, which we're gonna take this, but what I'm gonna change is this time I want little c, so I'm changing this to sine of c over little c. So I'm gonna have sine of A over little a equals sine of c over little c. So sine of A is sine 73, little a is 5, sine of c is sine 65, and little c is what I'm looking for. Then I do cross products. So I do sine 73c equals 5 times sine of 65. This is multiplied, so what I'm gonna do is divide by sine 73. These are gone, so I get c equals, and remember you hit enter right after that. So I'm gonna do sine 5 sine 65, enter, divide by sine 73, and that's 4.74. Is that what you got too, Dawson?
Yes.
Alright. So these are your answers, okay? Now, if you guys would open up Schoology, we did 4 problems on Thursday, and I'll assign some on the second page of it for today. So,
Aiden, you need your max boots. I want my calculator back.
There's only week 7.
My max boots.
okay, those of you that were gone on Thursday, if you can try to remember this, I assigned on the first page, on Thursday, I assigned 1, 2, 7, and 8. So that's Thursday's assignment. On the first side, 1, 2, 7, and 8. Then, for today, let's do 8 through 11, okay? Today we'll do 8, 9, 10, and 11. And the key for that, you guys, is up here, but your answers are gonna vary a little bit because they round to the nearest 10, and we round to the nearest 100. So it's probably better to check your answers with a friend than it is to check your answers with the key, to be honest.
I wanna